if you could just take one thing that's a seed that gets you to start thinking differently, acting a bit differently, doing something a little bit differently, that's what we want you to take from it, right? Because that's how we shift our mindset. That's how we shift our thinking. If we change our thinking, we change our life. And so these things that Mel Robbins was talking about, are things that you can start to implement, ways of thinking to be able to change your life. So that's what we're doing. I'll run through them. I don't think I got them all down perfectly, so hopefully some of y'all were taking notes. Number one said expect to disappoint. Expect to disappoint people when you start putting yourself first, because that's what she was talking about. That's the theme of this. When you start to put yourself first, when you start to say, hey, my goals and dreams are important, my happiness is important, the things I want to achieve in life are important, you have to expect disappointment. Expect to disappoint your kids. Expect to disappoint your family members. Expect to disappoint some of your friends and some of your colleagues. Like, expect that. Because, like Mel Robbins said, you are going to disappoint them one way or the other. You're not on this earth to make everyone happy. Take care of yourself. Obviously, we care about people, we think about people. We want to make sure that we are serving and loving people. Absolutely. If you have a serving heart, a loving heart, absolutely. But you got to make sure you put yourself first. We talk about this with money. When we teach people with the money side of things, one of the things that we hear a lot is, money might go to the family. Money, I have these responsibilities with my kids. I have the responsibility with my, parents, or right, a sibling or somebody that you're financially helping out. And what we always say is you got to put your mask on first. I'm out in Vegas right now. Right, we're out on the West Coast, so I just took a plane, so it's very fresh in my mind. When you get on the plane and they give you the instructions, they say, hey, if we lose cabin pressure and the masks fall and you're sitting next to your child, what do they say? They say, put your mask on first before securing your child's mask. They have to remind you that on the plane all the time, because it's counterintuitive. If you're a parent, if you have someone that you care about and you're there, you're going to think about protecting them. You're going to think about making sure they're good, but they have to remind you that, hey, if you're not good, they're not going to be good. So, like, you might pass out before even trying to secure their mask, and they can't even do it for themselves. So take care of yourself before you have to take care of someone else. We do that. Most people don't do that with their money. Most people say, hey, you know what? That's more important than my savings. Because that's how we prioritize ourselves in our finances, is saying, my savings is more important than this bill, this car note, like whatever it is. My savings is more important than that. That's how we prioritize us. So you got to put your mask on first before you can secure somebody else's mask. So that's what Mel Robbins is talking about. When you put yourself first, expect to disappoint, but you got to put yourself first. Number two, she said, oh wait, that was, I don't see, I told you my notes are all messed up. I put expect to disappoint, and then I put be okay to disappoint to number two. But either way, she was talking about disappointment, right? She was talking about making sure that, like, if you know you're going to now start making these changes, striving for the life that you want, you got to be okay to disappoint. I'll go number three. Said being yourself creates confidence. Being your true self creates the confidence you need to go live your ideal life, the life that you want to design for yourself. It's by being yourself. She talked about being in alignment with who you actually are. So if things are not coming to you, if you don't feel like it, it's just because you haven't figured out exactly who you are, maybe. It's a lifelong process, because we're always learning and growing. We're creatures that are constantly changing. But when you get to the place where you feel like you're in alignment with what you're called to do, with who you are, you can live your gifts and your talents every day. You know that old saying, right? Find something that you love, right? It's not work, or it's like you never work a day in your life type of thing. I don't necessarily buy into that. It's always going to be work, even if you love it. But are you working in your gifts? Are you working in your talents? Are you in alignment with what you're supposed to do? If so, it'll create confidence in you. When you're not in alignment, when you're not doing the things that you feel like you should be doing, or you're not in the place of giving your gifts and talents and those things, when you're in that spot, it's very difficult to then create the confidence you need to go off and design your ideal life. difficult. So you got to make sure that you are in alignment with yourself, right? Being yourself creates confidence. Number 4, she said, loving yourself first is true and lasting love, is how you can get true and lasting love with others. So, step 1, love yourself first. I know, right? Like simple stuff. Right? This is the theme of what we talk about on these calls. Real simple things. None of these are ideas that go beyond us. Probably things you've heard of before. But are you doing it? Do you buy in? Is that how you operate? Do you truly love yourself, right? Love who you are? Because if so, and you can do those things that show yourself love, you have more capacity to love other people. That's how Mel Robbins says you can find true and lasting love with others. It's first if you love yourself. Said another way, heard another way, you can't give something you don't have. Can't give something you don't have. You can't say, I love this person, I care about this person, I do, and you don't love yourself. Really hard to give something out of you to another person that you don't possess. So that's where you start. You start with saying, right, how do I love myself more? How do I take care of myself more? How do I show myself love more? Something we talked about last week is, how do you talk to yourself? What's the internal talk track? Are you mean to yourself? Are you saying, oh, why are you so lazy? Why are you so procrastinating? Why do you do that? Like, do you talk bad to yourself? Because the way we get to our ideal life, we have to change our language, both what we say to others and what we are saying to ourselves. Mel Robbins, I think this was the point where she said, give yourself that high five in the morning. I talked about that as well. That's one of her books, right? She talks about, hey, one of the best things you can do for yourself is when you look at yourself in the mirror to give yourself a high five. She goes into the neurology of it, right? Like there's like a neurological reason why every time you give yourself a high five, I think she says something along the lines of like, anytime you give anyone a high five, you are typically like smiling, you have a higher cortisol level or something like that, but it's creating an emotion in you just by doing that simple motion. Like nobody is like sad when they're high-fiving somebody, right? It's normally a joyful kind of emotion. So she said, why don't you do that to yourself in the morning, and it'll create those same feelings as if you were high-fiving someone that, you know, just did a good job playing a sport or something along those lines. Do that to yourself. That's one way to show yourself love. Man, I'm a stud. Man, I'm so beautiful. Man, I'm amazing. And just high five yourself in the mirror and start your day. But is that a habit? Is that a habit? Is that something that you constantly do? Is that something that you want to continue, right? Continue to adapt. So it's going to help you love yourself more. Number 5, I put learn to love your quirks, but I don't know if that's exactly what she said. It's early, y'all. It's 6:50 our time, so I don't know if I took all the notes properly. But either way, she said, learn to love your quirks, or learn to love like just who you are, right? Some of those things. Number 6, what people think of you is less important than what you think about yourself. Let's just rock out there, because that is it. What people think of you is less important than what you think about yourself. You think about yourself is more important than what other people think about you. Easier said than done. I get it. It's hard to sometimes detach from that. And like she said, it's not that we're going to get to the extreme place of saying, I don't care what people think. She says, and again, this is why you listen to things, because you hear so many words in the inspiration space that like sometimes bad doctrine, so to speak, right? Like, I don't care what other people think. No, like you actually should care what other people think. Like that's what makes you a human being and a kind person, right? Like otherwise you'd be moving through life like not being kind to people. So you do care what people think. But like Mel Robbins says, what you think about yourself is more important than what people think about you. It's not that you don't care at all. It's just you know that it's more important what you think about yourself. That's the difference. So when you start taking input from people, you have to know that what I think about me and my decisions and what I'm choosing to do is more important than what they are telling me they think about what I'm doing. They can have an opinion. This is where Mel Robbins in the video talked about, right? Our family. It's like family teaches you all these types of things because two things can be true at the same time. You can not like what somebody's doing. You can have an opinion on what they're doing, And you can also still love them and it not matter to you in the way that you have to go change them or get them out of your family circle or whatever the case is. As long as you know that what you believe about you is more important than what someone else believes about you or thinks they know about you. And if you go through life with that standpoint, with that mindset of, hey, what I if I think good things about me, if I love me, if I think that I am spectacular, then when someone outside of me tells me I'm not spectacular, I don't value it as much as I value what I think of myself. Feel like the average world, right? The middle class world would call that conceited to some degree, but it's not. It's just the truth. Like what I think of me, I value that more than what you think of me. You start to live your life that way, opens up some doors. It opens up some doors. And that's what we want because we're doing this to get to our ideal life. Number 7. Oh, and I put the quotes. She said, just let them, right? Her just let them theory. Just let them think about it the way they want to. Just let them do what they're, just let them. You can't control other people. You can't control how they think about you. So just let them be who they're going to be. Give them the grace to think about things the way they're going to think about it and know that what you think about you is more important. That's all. So, number 7, you can have it all, just not all at once. You can have it all, just not all at once. This is a message for somebody. I normally give this message to young people, meaning under 25s, under 30s, because oftentimes when I sit down with them, they have this mindset of I want to do this, 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 and this, and this right now. I want to have 4 businesses right now. I want to travel and get married and get my health in order and be an entrepreneur right now. It's just not how life works. Many of us know that, right? You can have it all though. That's where people steal the dream. That's where, right? If we were in 177 mental toughness secrets, we talk about average performers or middle class, right? They stop thinking that they can have it all to choose one thing. I just settled for this job because I couldn't go do the thing. That's not true either. You don't have to just settle in where you are. You just can't get it all right now. So again, this is language. You can have it all. You just can't have it all right now. So what Mel Robbins recommended you do is prioritize something for this next 6 months. That's something I would challenge you to do. Prioritize something for the next 6 months and get clear on that one facet to focus on. Just get clear of like, what's the one thing that would move the needle the most for me, that would make me feel some form of fulfillment, joy, happiness over these next 6 months if I could just do this one thing. Of course, it's not going to be that way forever, but right now, just this one thing. What is that? What is that one thing you're going to focus on that'll move the needle the most? And if you can focus on those things, and if you can consciously say, okay, I'm going to sit down and know I can have it all, but can't have it all right now. So what are my priorities? That's when your schedule starts to open up. That's when you start to find time for the things that are most important to you. That's when you start to value yourself and your time instead of giving it away to other people that are not helping you focus on that one facet that you just committed to for the next 6 months. So it's a challenge for all of y'all. What are you going to focus on? What are you going to focus on that is the thing that you say, hey, you know what? I can turn the corner in this. This is going to make me feel really good. Man, if I just get this one thing in order, everything else will kind of fall in place. It'll help me get closer to being in alignment with myself. Like, what is that thing? Hopefully today's call with Mel Robbins, right? You can start to picture some of these things, take some of those notes. I know I'm not the best note taker. That's why, right? I was a straight B student in school. I didn't take notes just because I went off my own smarts, but whatever. But either way, hopefully you took some notes from it and picked up a couple things that you can go implement. Because as always, y'all, right, we got to change our thinking so we can change our life. Hopefully this planted a seed for you today that allows you to now water that seed so you can get some different outcomes in your life. Maybe this call was meant for you because you do need to love yourself a little bit more. You do need to value yourself more. Or you do need to prioritize yourself a bit more and expect the people around you to get disappointed. Expect the people around you to not understand and just let them do what they're going to do because we got a life to go get to, ladies and gentlemen. I love you guys.